Hi, Veritas48 on YouTube. Veritas48 has actually posted 5 questions, and I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and answer them as honestly as I can, although I will try to be a little bit more respectful than Laura was, aka Fact versus Religion, but frankly, Veritas, I think some of these questions are rather, to say the least, mediocre.
The question is, if when you die, right, you find yourself in a place of judgment in front of God, and it ends up being the case that all those pesky Christians were right all along, what would your first statement be to God? If you could choose anything to say to God at that point, what would it be and why?
You motherfucking prick. You sadistic animal. I'd ask him a question. Why? What did the Amalekites do to you to deserve to be massacred, save the young virgin girls, to be used as sex slaves for the Israelites?
What sort of evidence would you find sufficient for you to abandon atheism and become a believer in God? Not particularly Christianity per se, but just God, like a general sort of theism. Would it be physical evidence like a burning bush or maybe a booming voice from the sky? Or would you still be skeptical at that point and require more evidence? So what I'm trying to ask is, what's the type of evidence that for you would warrant theistic belief, and what degree would make it sufficient?
Yeah, what evidence would convince me? Not just your God, but any God. With your God particularly, Veritas, you make the claim that he is omniscient, omnipotent. Well, if he is omnipotent and omniscient, he knows exactly what is required to make me a theist, and he doesn't. But if evidence were required to make me convinced, I'd want him to appear directly before me and say, here I am, not only to me, but to everyone on this planet, every sane, thinking, aware human being, at the same time. Exactly the same time. Because the reason being is because then I could verify what I saw with my own eyes with others. Because if he just appeared before me, I'd have no reason to believe my own eyes, and other people would have no reason to believe me either. If he did appear before me, and appear before everyone else, I could verify what I saw with everyone else. PM Thunderfoot and say, woo, or some gets, or to Fact versus Religion, anyone else. Did you see what I saw? And they say yes. That would be verifiable with other people.
Third, do you think the new atheist movement is ultimately a good thing or a bad thing for free thinkers and skeptics? I define the new atheist movement to be something like the following. The new trend of removing respect from religion in conversations, the sort of attitude that one finds in a Richard Dawkins or a Christopher Hitchens, where anti-theism starts to pop its head up a bit more. Do you think that sort of thing is ultimately good or bad, and why? I mean, I've heard quite a few people say it's a good thing that this new attitude has surfaced because religion doesn't deserve any respect. And yet I've heard other atheists say, no, it's something we really need to stay away from. We should just stick to tearing down their arguments and keep the attitude in check. So where do you stand?
Well, duh. Veritas 48. Atheism, the militant atheism you talk of, the new atheism, in fact has always been around. Think of it. If Christopher Hitchens had written his book back in 600 years ago, God is Not Great, you think he'd live very long? He'd have been burned at the stake within days. It's only now, in the modern 21st century, that he's managed to get away with it. It's you theists that have been dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century, and you deserve no credit for it.
Fourth, what sorts of decisions are affected by your atheism? I really like this question. I like my own question. Wow, that's not the Height of narcissism. Okay. Let me unpack what I mean here. Are there decisions that you make in your life, aside from the obvious denial of theism, that are a direct result of your views on the non-existence or lack of evidence for God? So, for example, political choices or moral choices or economic choices. Is there anything that atheism has impacted in such a way that you can look back and say, I don't think I would hold this other view if I wasn't an atheist?
Answer Veritas 48, none. None whatsoever. My everyday decisions in life are not affected by my atheism. I just don't believe in God. That's it.
And lastly, my fifth and final question, what is more important to you as an atheist? I guess this could really apply to you as a person, not simply an atheist, but what's more important? Acquiring as many true beliefs as possible, or not acquiring as many false beliefs as possible? And let me repeat that. Which one of these is more important? Gaining true beliefs about the world, or not gaining false beliefs about the world? Those are in fact very different things. For example,
Sure.
My answer is that I'm more interested in gaining as many true beliefs as possible because it makes life more interesting. I feel that focusing too much on skepticism or the interest in not acquiring false beliefs leads to a sort of bitterness and an unhealthy approach when it comes to assessing particular things in life. That doesn't mean skepticism isn't necessary or even that I'm not saying it's even a bad thing, but I just think that acquiring true beliefs is just much more important. Maybe that's just because I'm a theist. I don't know.
1 minute. Yep, sorry Veritas, I had to video my response as I listened to this particular question. I think it is mediocre at best. What is more important to you? Acquiring true beliefs or not acquiring false beliefs? Well, if you're not going to acquire false beliefs, by definition you're going to acquire true beliefs. Think about it. I am interested in reality. And what is real, what is reality, is acquiring those true beliefs. And those true beliefs, of necessity, require evidence. I want to hear evidence, empirical, testable evidence, to suggest that a particular phenomenon is true. I do hope you accept this video response. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not particularly impressed with at least 2 of these questions, and the others were frankly predictable, been asked before.